Hello and welcome. My name is Emma, and I'm here from EFL USA to help you speak real American English with confidence, even if you are just starting out. If this is your first time here, I want you to know something important right away. You are in exactly the right place because today we are not going to study grammar rules or memorize long lists of words. Today, you are going to walk through a real situation, a situation that many people who are new to this country face. And by the end of this lesson, you will know exactly what to say without freezing, without panicking, and without translating word by word in your head. Before we begin, take a slow breath. Relax your shoulders. You don't need to be perfect today. You just need to follow along. Listen and repeat when I ask you to. That's it. That's the whole plan. Now, let me ask you something. Close your eyes for a second, if you can, or just imagine this clearly in your mind. You are sitting in a small office. Across the table, a manager is looking at your resume. Everything has gone well so far. You smiled, you shook hands, you answered a few easy questions. And then, suddenly, the manager leans forward and asks us, "So, what are your salary expectations?" Could you answer that question right now, in 3 seconds, without translating it first in your language? Be honest with yourself. If the answer is no, don't worry. That is exactly why you are here today. By the end of this video, that question will not scare you anymore. You will have the exact words, the exact sentence, and the confidence to answer it clearly. Today's lesson is part of our English for Work and Job Interviews series, right here on Practical English for Life in America. This is real, practical English, made for real situations you will actually face, not just polite conversation for fun. So let's get started with a true story. A story about a woman named Sophia. Sophia moved to the United States 8 months ago. She left her country with 2 suitcases, a small folder of documents, and a lot of hope. For the first few months, she worked small jobs. Cleaning, helping a neighbor with childcare, anything to pay the bills while she studied English every single night after work. She used flashcards. She watched videos just like this one. She practiced speaking to herself in the mirror, even when it felt strange. Then, one Tuesday morning, Sophia got an email. A real job interview at a real company for a position she actually wanted, an administrative assistant position at a small logistics company near her apartment. Her heart jumped when she read the email. She read it 3 times just to be sure it was real. The interview was scheduled for Thursday at 10 in the morning. Sophia had 3 days to prepare. She practiced her name, her experience, her reasons for wanting the job. She felt ready. She felt strong. But there was one question she never practiced, one question she didn't even think about, and that question would almost cost her everything. Let's slow down here for a moment, because this is exactly where I want you to listen closely and repeat after me. These are the first words you need before we go further into Sophia's story. Listen, I am looking for a position in administration. Now, repeat after me. I am looking for a position in administrations. Listen again. I have experience in customer service. Repeat after me. I have experience in customer service. One more time. Listen. I am available to start immediately. Repeat after me. I am available to start immediately. Good. These 3 sentences are gold. You can use them in almost any job interview, in almost any city, for almost any position. Just change 1 or 2 words, and they fit your situation perfectly. Now, let's go back to Sophia. Thursday morning arrived. Sophia woke up early, ironed her shirt twice, even though it didn't need it, and left her apartment 40 minutes before the interview, even though it was only a 15-minute walk. She wanted extra time. She wanted to feel calm before she walked through that door. When she arrived, the receptionist smiled and asked her to wait in a small room with gray chairs and a window that looked out over the parking lot. Sophia sat down, folded her hands, and quietly repeated her practiced sentences 1 more time under her breath. A few minutes later, a man in a blue shirt walked in. His name was Mr. Daniels, and he was the hiring manager. He shook her hand, smiled kindly, and said, "Thank you for coming in today, Sophia. Please, have a seat." The interview began just like Sophia expected. Mr. Daniels asked about her background. Sophia answered clearly, "I have experience in customer service, and I am very organized and reliable." Mr. Daniels nodded, wrote something on his paper, and smiled again. Sophia felt her shoulders relax just a little. He asked about her availability. Sophia answered with confidence, "I am available to start immediately, and I can work full-time." Again, Mr. Daniels nodded, seemingly pleased. Everything was going well. Sophia started to believe, just a little, that maybe this interview would end with good news. And then, Mr. Daniels looked up from his paper, leaned forward slightly, and asked the question Sophia never prepared for. "So, Sophia, what are your salary expectations for this position?" For a moment, everything stopped. Sophia's mind went completely blank. In her language, this question is often not asked directly in the first interview. She had no sentence ready, no practiced phrase, nothing. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. 3 seconds passed. Then 5 seconds. The silence in that small office felt enormous, like it filled the entire room. Sophia felt her face grow warm. She looked down at her hands. She thought about translating the question word by word in her head. But by the time she finished translating, Mr. Daniels was already waiting for an answer. Patiently, but clearly waiting. Finally, Sophia said something, but it came out clumsy and unsure. I don't know. Maybe whatever is normal." Mr. Daniels smiled politely, but Sophia could feel that the moment had changed. The confident rhythm of the interview had broken. She left the office. 20 minutes later, thanked Mr. Daniels, shook his hand, and walked outside into the cold air, replaying that silence over and over in her mind. Now, let me ask you something important. Have you ever felt that same freeze, that same blank moment, when someone asked you a question in English and your mind simply stopped working? If yes, you are not alone. This happens to almost everyone learning a new language, especially in high-pressure situations like a job interview. But here is the good news. This moment is exactly what we are going to fix together, right now, in this lesson. Let's learn the vocabulary that Sophia needed that day, the vocabulary that could have completely changed that silent, uncomfortable moment into a confident, clear answer. S word. Our first word today is qualifications. Listen carefully. Qualifications. Repeat after me. Qualifications means the skills, experience, and education you have that make you right for a job. It's a simple idea. It just means what makes you good for this position. Here is an example sentence. My qualifications include 3 years of customer service experience. Listen again. My qualifications include 3 years of customer service experience. Now, you try. Make your own sentence using the word qualifications. Think about your own experience for a moment and say it out loud. Let's continue with our second word. Availability. Listen. Availability. Repeat after me. Availability. Availability means the days and times you are free to work. It answers the question, when can you start and which days can you work? Example sentence. My availability is flexible and I can work mornings or evenings. Listen again. My availability is flexible and I can work mornings or evenings. Now you say one sentence about your own availability. Say it out loud, even if no one is listening but you. Our third word is reference. Listen carefully. Reference. Repeat after me. Reference. A reference is a person who can talk about your work and your character, usually a former boss or a coworker. Employers often ask for this near the end of an interview. Example sentence. I can provide a reference from my previous manager. Listen again. I can provide a reference from my previous manager. Now, repeat that full sentence out loud, slowly and clearly. Now, we come to the word that changed everything for Sophia that day. Listen very carefully. Salary expectations. Repeat after me, slowly. Salary expectations. Salary expectations means the amount of money you hope or expect to earn for the job. This is often one of the most difficult questions for new English speakers, not because the words are hard, but because in many countries, this question feels too direct, too personal, or simply unexpected in a first interview. Here is the key. You do not need a perfect, exact number every time. You need a calm, simple sentence that shows you understand the question and can respond with confidence. Listen to this example sentence. Based on my experience, I am expecting a salary between $15 and $18 an hour, but I am open to discussion. Listen again, a little slower this time. Based on my experience, I am expecting a salary between $15 and $18 an hour, but I am open to discussion. Notice, something important here. This sentence does three things at once. It shows a range, not just one fixed number. It connects the number to your experience, so it sounds reasonable, not random. And it ends with flexibility, showing the employer that you are willing to talk. More, not demanding, not rigid. Now, repeat this full sentence with me slowly. Based on my experience, I am expecting a salary between, and here, you will put your own numbers an hour, but I am open to discussion. Try saying it out loud right now, filling in numbers that feel real to you. Let's also learn a simpler version. For situations where you truly are not sure what number to say, listen. I am open to a fair salary based on the responsibilities of the position. Repeat after me. I am open to a fair salary based on the responsibilities of the position. This sentence is very safe. It doesn't lock you into a number, but it still shows confidence and professionalism. It tells the employer, I am ready to discuss this like an adult, not I don't know, which is what Sophia said that day, and which made her feel small in that moment. One more useful phrase before we continue our story. Listen, could you tell me more about the salary range for this position? Repeat after me. Could you tell me more about the salary range for this position? This sentence is powerful because it does something many new English learners forget. It lets you ask a question back. You don't always have to answer immediately. Sometimes the smartest, most confident thing you can say is a calm question that gives you a moment to think, and shows the employer that you are engaged, not scared. Now, let's put all of these words and phrases together in one short conversation, just like the one Sophia had. But this time, imagine Sophia knew exactly what to say. Listen to this conversation carefully. Mr. Daniels says, "So, Sophia, what are your salary expectations for this position?" And this time, Sophia answers calmly, "That's a great question. Could you tell me more about the salary range for this position?" Mr. Daniels responds, "Sure, the range is usually between $14 and $17 an hour, depending on experience." And Sophia says, "Based on my experience in customer service, I would expect something in the middle of that range. But I'm open to discussion." Notice how different that feels. Calm, clear, confident, no silence, no blank mind. Just simple, practiced sentences, ready exactly when she needed them. Now, let's shadow that entire mini conversation together. I will say each line, and you repeat it right after me, trying to match the rhythm and the tone. Ready? Listen, that's a great question. Repeat, that's a great question. Listen, could you tell me more about the salary range for this position? Repeat, a little slower this time, focusing on connecting the words smoothly. Could you tell me more about the salary range for this position? Listen, based on my experience in customer service. Repeat after me. Based on my experience in customer service. Ditson, I would expect something in the middle of that range. Repeat after me. I would expect something in the middle of that range. Listen, but I'm open to discussion. Repeat after me. But I'm open to discussion. Wonderful. Say that whole sentence one more time, all together, smoothly, like you truly mean it. Based on my experience in customer service, I would expect something in the middle of that range. But I'm open to discussion. You are doing something very important right now. You are not just memorizing words. You are building a tool, a real tool you can use. The next time someone asks you this exact question in real life. This is the entire purpose of today's lesson. And this is exactly what makes practical English for life in America different from just studying. Studying English for fun. We are preparing you for real moments, real pressure, real conversations that matter. Let's go back to Sophia's story for a moment, because her journey does not end with that silent, uncomfortable interview. In fact, that difficult moment became the turning point that changed everything for her. That evening after the interview, Sophia sat on her small couch, replaying the silence in her mind over and over. She felt embarrassed. She felt like she had lost an opportunity because of one question, one moment where her English simply was not ready. But instead of giving up, Sophia did something powerful. She opened her notebook and she wrote down that exact question at the top of a new page. What are your salary expectations? And underneath it, she began writing possible answers, practicing them out loud, again and again, until the words felt natural in her mouth. She didn't know it yet, but 3 weeks later, she would face this exact same question again, in a different interview at a different company. And this time, things would go very differently. But before we continue with what happened next, let's pause here and practice a little more, because repetition is what builds real confidence, not just understanding. Let's review the key vocabulary we've learned so far. I'll say the word, and you say the meaning or an example out loud in your own words, even a simple one. Qualifications. Think about it for a second and say a sentence of availability. Say your own sentence out loud, reference. Say a sentence about a person who could be your reference. Salary expectations. This is the big one. Say your full practice sentence, slowly, with confidence. Excellent work. I want you to notice something. Just a few minutes ago, this question probably felt intimidating, maybe even a little scary. Right now, you have full sentences, ready, real tools in your pocket, exactly like Sophia eventually built for herself. Let's continue practicing with a few quick reflex drills before we move deeper into Sophia's second interview. I'm going to give you a short phrase. A pattern you can use in many different situations, and I want you to repeat it quickly without stopping to think too much. This builds what we call muscle memory. So the words come out naturally, without translation, without hesitation. Listen, I am expecting, repeat quickly. I am expecting, listen. I am open to. Repeat quickly. I am open to. Listen. Based on my experience. Repeat quickly. Based on my experience. Listen. Could you tell me more about? Repeat quickly. Could you tell me more about? Now, let's combine two of these patterns into full sentences, quickly, one after another. I am expecting a salary of $18 an hour. Repeat. I am expecting a salary of $18 an hour. Based on my experience, I am a strong fit for this position. Repeat. Based on my experience, I am a strong fit for this position. Could you tell me more about the responsibilities of this role? Repeat. Could you tell me more about the responsibilities of this role? I am open to discussing the details further. Repeat. I am open to discussing the details further. You're building real speed now. Real, automatic responses, and this is exactly the kind of practice that turns nervous silence into calm, ready answers. Let's take a short breath here. And I want to remind you of something important. Learning English for real situations like job interviews is not about sounding perfect. It's about being ready, being clear, and not freezing when the pressure comes. Sophia wasn't perfect in her first interview. She made a mistake. But that mistake became fuel. It became the reason she practiced harder, and it became the reason her second interview turned out completely differently. Very. In the next part of this lesson, we're going to follow Sophia into her second interview, the one that truly changed her life, and we're going to learn even more phrases you can use not just for salary questions, but for other tricky moments that come up in real job interviews. Moments like being asked about your weaknesses, being asked why you left your last job, and being asked if you have any questions for the interviewer at the end. We still have a lot to practice together, so stay with me. Keep repeating out loud, even if you feel a little shy right now. Every single sentence you say out loud today is building real, usable confidence for your own future interview, your own future phone call, your own future conversation at work. Take a deep breath with me. You are doing wonderfully. Your English is already becoming more practical, more ready, more real. With every single sentence we practice together, Sophia kept that notebook page for 3 weeks. And every night, before she went to sleep, she opened it and read her sentences out loud one more time. She practiced not just the words, but the feeling of saying them, the calm tone, the steady breathing, the small pause before speaking, instead of the panic that had frozen her in that first office. During those 3 weeks, Sophia also learned something else important. She realized that salary was not the only question that could catch her off guard. So she began preparing for other common interview questions too. Questions she had heard other people talk about, questions she found in English learning groups online, questions her English tutor mentioned during their sessions. One question kept appearing again and again. What is your biggest weakness? Sophia had heard this question before, but she never knew how to answer it without sounding either too negative or too fake. So let's pause our story here for a moment and learn exactly how to handle this question, because you will almost certainly hear it too in your own interview someday soon. Listen to this word: weakness. Repeat after me: weakness. Weakness means something you are not good at or something you are still working to improve. In an interview, this question feels tricky because you don't want to say something too serious, like, I am always late, but you also don't want to sound fake, like, my biggest weakness is that I work too hard. Employers hear that fake answer all the time, and it doesn't sound honest. Here is a strong pattern you can use. Listen carefully. One area I am working to improve is, and then you add something small, honest, and real. Repeat after me. One area I am working to improve is. Here is a full example sentence. One area I am working to improve is my public speaking, so I've been practicing by joining a local conversation group. Listen again, slightly slower. One area I am working to improve is my public speaking, so I've been practicing by joining a local conversation group. Notice something powerful about this sentence. It does two things. First, it honestly names something real. Second, it immediately shows action, something you are already doing to improve. This turns a weakness into proof that you are growth-minded, which is exactly what employers want to hear. Now, you try. Think of one small, real area you are working to improve. Maybe your English, maybe your computer skills, maybe organization. Say your own sentence out loud right now, using the pattern. One area I am working to improve is. So I've been. Wonderful. Let's continue with another very common interview question. Why did you leave your last job? Or why are you looking for a new job? This question feels dangerous for many people, especially if they left a job because of a problem, a difficult boss, or being let go. But there is a calm, professional way to answer this, even in a difficult situation. Listen to this useful phrase. I'm looking for new opportunities to grow. Repeat after me. I'm looking for new opportunities to grow. This phrase is safe, positive, and true. In almost every situation, even if the real reason is complicated, you don't have to explain every detail of your last job. You simply need a calm, professional sentence that moves the conversation forward. Here's a fuller example. I'm looking for new opportunities to grow, and this position matches my skills and interests perfectly. Listen again. I'm looking for new opportunities to grow, and this position matches my skills and interests perfectly. Repeat that whole sentence with me now. Slowly. Let's learn one more important pattern, because near the end of almost every interview, the interviewer will ask you, "Do you have any questions for me?" Many new English speakers panic here too, and simply say, "No, I don't have any questions," which can make you seem uninterested, even if that's not true. Listen to a strong response. Yes, actually, I do have a question. Repeat after me. Yes, actually, I do have a question. Here's a useful question you can ask back. What does a typical day look like in this position? Listen again. What does a typical day look like in this position? Repeat after me, slowly. What does a typical day look like in this position? Here's another one. Is there room for growth within the company? Repeat after me. Is there room for growth within the company? Asking a thoughtful question like this shows the interviewer that you are genuinely interested in the job, not just trying to survive the interview and leave as quickly as possible. Now, let's return to Sophia's story, because 3 weeks after that difficult first interview, something exciting happened. Sophia received another email, this time from a different company, a growing shipping and logistics business just outside the city. They were looking for someone for a very similar administrative position, and Sophia's resume had caught their attention. This time, though, something felt different inside Sophia. She wasn't just hoping to pass the interview. She had prepared. She had practiced her sentences every single night. She had written out answers to the salary question, the weakness question, the "why are you looking for a new job?" question, and even a few questions of her own to ask at the end. The interview was scheduled for a Monday morning at 9:30. Sophia arrived 15 minutes early again, but this time her hands weren't shaking as much. She sat in the waiting area, and instead of nervously repeating sentences under her breath in fear, she repeated them with a sense of readiness, almost like an athlete stretching before a race. A woman named Ms. Rodriguez came out to greet her, smiling warmly. "Sophia, come on in." They walked into a small conference room with a large window overlooking the parking lot, much like the room from before. But this time, Sophia felt different sitting in that chair, Mrs. Rodriguez began asking questions about Sophia's background, her previous experience, her strengths. Sophia answered clearly and calmly. "I have experience in customer service, and I am very organized and reliable." Just like before, but this time her voice was steady, confident, unshaken. Then Ms. Rodriguez asked, "What would you say is an area you're working to improve?" Sophia took a small breath and answered smoothly. "One area I am working to improve is my public speaking, so I've been practicing by joining a local conversation group." Miss Rodriguez smiled and nodded, clearly impressed by the honest, thoughtful answer. The interview continued smoothly. Question after question, and Sophia felt herself relaxing more and more, her English flowing more naturally with every response. And then Ms. Rodriguez looked up from her notes and asked the question that had once frozen Sophia completely. "So, Sophia, what are your salary expectations for this role?" This time, there was no silence. There was no blank stare. There was no shaky, uncertain answer. Sophia took a small, calm breath and said clearly, "That's a great question. Could you tell me more about the salary range for this position?" Mrs. Rodriguez smiled, seemingly pleased by the confident question, and answered, "Sure. The range for this role is typically between $15 and $19 an hour, depending on experience." And Sophia responded, without hesitation, based on my experience in customer service and administrative work, I would expect something around $17 an hour, but I'm certainly open to discussion. The room felt calm, professional, confident, nothing like the uncomfortable silence from 3 weeks earlier. Miss Rodriguez wrote something down, nodded again, and said, "That sounds very reasonable. Do you feel that difference?" That's the power of preparation. That's the power of practicing real sentences out loud again and again until they become automatic, until they simply come out of your mouth without translation, without fear. Let's pause here again for a quick practice round because I want these sentences to become just as automatic for you as they became for Sophia. Listen and repeat quickly, one after another. That's a great question. Repeat. That's a great question. Could you tell me more about the salary range for this position? Repeat. Could you tell me more about the salary range for this position? Based on my experience. Repeat. Based on my experience. I would expect something around. Repeat. I would expect something around, but I'm certainly open to discussion. Repeat. But I'm certainly open to discussion. Now, let's combine all of these into one full, smooth sentence, just like Sophia said in her second interview. Say it slowly first. Based on my experience in customer service and administrative work, I would expect something around $17 an hour, but I'm certainly open to discussion. Now, try saying it a little faster, more naturally, like you're speaking in a real conversation, not reading from a script. Beautiful. You're building real fluency here, real, automatic response patterns that will serve you not just in job interviews, but in many other high-pressure conversations in daily American life. Let's continue with Sophia's interview for a moment longer. Because near the end, something else happened. Something that shows just how far Sophia had come. Rodriguez asked, "Do you have any questions for me?" And this time, instead of saying, "No, I don't have any questions," which is what Sophia would have said months earlier, she answered confidently, "Yes, actually, I do have a question. What does a typical day look like in this position?" Ms. Rodriguez smiled, clearly happy to answer, and spent the next few minutes describing the daily tasks, the team, the office, environment. Sophia listened carefully, nodding, asking one small follow-up question about the team she would be working with. By the end of the interview, Sophia felt something she hadn't felt in that first difficult interview weeks earlier. She felt like herself, not a nervous, translating, frozen version of herself, but her real, capable, confident self, simply speaking a different language. 3 days later, Sophia received a phone call. It was Ms. Rodriguez offering her the position. Sophia sat down on her couch, closed her eyes for a moment, and felt tears of relief and pride fill her eyes. She thought back to that first interview, that silent, frozen moment, and she realized something important. That difficult moment hadn't been a failure. It had been the exact push she needed to prepare seriously, to practice with intention, and to walk into her next opportunity fully ready. This is exactly why today's lesson matters so much. Somewhere out there, you might have your own interview coming up, your own moment where someone asks you a question you didn't expect. And now, because of the practice we've done together today, you have real sentences ready, real patterns you can use, real confidence building inside you, one repeated sentence at a time. Let's do a few more quick drills before we move forward, because repetition really is the secret ingredient here. I'm going to give you a work-related situation, and I want you to respond out loud using the phrases we've learned today. Imagine an interviewer asks, "What are your salary expectations?" Pause for a moment and say your full answer out loud using your own realistic numbers. Imagine an interviewer asks, "What is your biggest weakness?" Pause and say your answer out loud, honestly and calmly. Imagine an interviewer asks, "Why are you looking for a new job?" Pause and say your calm, professional answer out loud. Imagine an interviewer asks, "Do you have any questions for me?" Pause and ask one thoughtful question out loud, just like Sophia did. Excellent work. Every single time you do this out loud, even alone in your room, even feeling a little silly at first, you are building real usable confidence, exactly the kind Sophia built for herself over those 3 important weeks. Now, let's expand our vocabulary a little more, because a job interview often includes small talk before the real questions begin, and this small talk matters too. It sets the tone for the entire interview. Listen to this phrase. "Thank you for having me today." Repeat after me. "Thank you for having me today." This is a warm, simple way to start an interview, showing appreciation right from the beginning. Listen to another phrase. "I'm excited about this opportunity." Repeat after me. "I'm excited about this opportunity." This shows enthusiasm, something employers genuinely look for, especially in entry-level or administrative positions where attitude matters just as much as experience. Let's learn one more word. Follow up. Listen. Follow up. Repeat after me. Follow up. Follow up means to contact someone again after a meeting or interview, usually to check on the results or to say thank you. Here's an example sentence. "I'll follow up with an email to thank you for your time." Listen again. "I'll follow up with an email to thank you for your time." Repeat after me slowly. "I'll follow up with an email to thank you for your time." This small habit, sending a short thank you message after an interview, can genuinely make a difference. It shows professionalism, and it keeps you fresh in the employer's mind after you leave that room. Let's put together a short closing conversation, the kind you might have at the very end of a successful interview. Listen carefully first, then we'll shadow it together. The interviewer says, "Well, Sophia, thank you so much for coming in today." Sophia responds, "Thank you for having me today. I really enjoyed our conversation." The interviewer says, "We'll be in touch by the end of the week." And Sophia responds, "That sounds great. I'll follow up with an email as well. Thank you again for your time." Let's shadow this together, line by line. Listen. Thank you for having me today. Repeat. Thank you for having me today. Listen. I really enjoyed our conversation. Repeat. I really enjoyed our conversation. Listen, that sounds great. Repeat. That sounds great. Listen. Listen. I'll follow up with an email as well. Repeat. I'll follow up with an email as well. Listen. Thank you again for your time. Repeat. Thank you again for your time. Now, say the whole closing all together smoothly, like you're truly finishing a real interview. Thank you for having me today. I really enjoyed our conversation. That sounds great. I'll follow up with an email as well. Thank you again for your time. Wonderful. You now have an opening phrase, a closing phrase, and some powerful sentences, and several powerful sentences for the trickiest moments in between. This is a complete toolkit built piece by piece, just like Sophia built hers. Let's take a short moment to affirm your progress. Because you've covered a lot of ground already in this lesson, and every bit of it matters. A few minutes ago, questions like, "What are your salary expectations?" might have felt intimidating, even impossible to answer smoothly. Now, you have full sentences ready, patterns you can adjust to fit your own numbers, your own experience, your own voice. Let's move now into a faster-paced practice section, where we quickly combine everything we've learned today into rapid response drills. I'll give you the beginning of a sentence, and I want you to complete it out loud, quickly, without stopping to overthink. Listen, I have experience in. Complete the sentence out loud with your own real experience. Listen, I am available to. Complete the sentence out loud. Listen, based on my experience. Complete the sentence out loud. Listen, one area I am working to improve is. Complete the sentence out loud. Listen, I'm looking for new opportunities to. Complete the sentence out loud. Listen, could you tell me more about. Complete the sentence out loud. Listen, thank you for having me today. I really. Complete the sentence out loud. Fantastic work. Notice how quickly these sentences are starting to come to you now, without long pauses, without translating first in your head. This is exactly the muscle memory we talked about earlier, and it's building stronger with every single repetition. Before we move into our final section today, let's take one more moment to reflect on Sophia's journey, because there's something deeper here, beyond just vocabulary and grammar. Sophia's story isn't really about one perfect interview. It's about what she did after the imperfect one. She didn't give up. She didn't decide that English interviews were simply too hard for her. Instead, she took that uncomfortable silence, that frozen moment, and turned it into fuel for real focused practice. And that's exactly what I want for you too. If you've ever frozen during an English conversation, if you've ever felt that same blank, silent moment Sophia felt in her first interview, I want you to see that Moment not as proof that you can't do this, but as information that tells you exactly which sentences to practice next. In the next and final part of this lesson, we're going to review everything we've learned today. One more time, we're going to do a few more quick reflex drills to lock these phrases into your memory. And then we're going to close with Sophia's first day at her new job, a moment that shows just how far consistent practice can truly take you. Stay with me. Keep speaking out loud. Even if it feels a little repetitive at times, because this repetition truly is building something real and lasting inside you. Let's continue. Right where we left off, with Sophia walking through the front doors of her new job for the very first time. It was a Monday morning, bright and a little cold, and Sophia stood outside the building for a moment before going in, just breathing, just feeling the weight of everything that had brought her to this exact moment. 8 months earlier, she had arrived in this country with 2 suitcases and a folder of documents. 3 weeks earlier, she had frozen completely during an interview question, felt embarrassed, felt like giving up for just a moment. And now, here she was, walking through glass doors into her very first American workplace, wearing a simple blue blazer, holding a small notebook, the same notebook where she had once written, "What are your salary expectations?" At the top of a blank page, Ms. Rodriguez met her at the front desk, smiling warmly. "Good morning, Sophia. Welcome to the team." Sophia smiled back, and without even thinking about it, without translating anything in her head first, the words came out naturally. "Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here." Notice that. No pause, no hesitation. Just natural, ready English, flowing exactly when she needed it. Throughout that first day, Sophia met her new coworkers, one by one. Each time, someone extended a hand and said, "Nice to meet you." And each time, Sophia responded smoothly, "Nice to meet you too. I'm Sophia. I'll be working in the office here." Small sentences, simple sentences, but sentences that, just weeks earlier, might have felt impossible to produce quickly. Under the pressure of meeting so many new people at once, at lunch, a coworker named Kevin sat next to her and asked, "So, where are you from originally?" Sophia answered comfortably, sharing a little about her home country, her journey, and why she had decided to come to the United States. Then, Kevin asked something that, months earlier, would have made Sophia's heart race. "How long have you been learning English?" Sophia smiled and said, "About 1.5 years, but I've been practicing really seriously for the last few months, especially for job interviews and work conversations." "Yiken." Kevin looked impressed. "Wow, your English is really good. I never would have guessed you started so recently." Sophia felt a warm sense of pride rise inside her, not because she was perfect, not because she never made mistakes anymore, but because she had built real, usable tools, sentence by sentence, practice session by practice session, exactly like we've been doing together today. Now, before we close today's lesson, let's take a few minutes to review everything we've learned, because review is what truly locks these phrases into your long-term memory, transforming them from something you understood today into something you can use automatically weeks and months from now in your own real interview, your own real workplace conversation. Let's begin our review. I'll say a word or phrase, and I want you to say a full sentence using it out loud with confidence, qualifications. Say your sentence now. Of availability. Say your sentence now. Reference. Say your sentence now. Salary expectations. This time, say your full, complete answer, just like Sophia practiced. Based on my experience, I am expecting a salary between, and here, add your own numbers. An hour, but I am open to discussion. Weakness. Say your honest, thoughtful sentence now. One area I am working to improve is, so I've been. Now, let's review our safe, flexible phrase for salary in case you're ever unsure of a specific number. Say it out loud. I am open to a fair salary based on the responsibilities of the position. Let's review our confident question you can ask. When someone asks about salary first, say it out loud. Could you tell me more about the salary range for this position? Let's review why you might be looking for a new job. Say it out loud. I'm looking for new opportunities to grow. Let's review a strong question to ask at the end of an interview. Say it out loud. What does a typical day look like in this position? And one more. Say it out loud. Is there room for growth within the company? Let's review our warm opening phrase. Say it out loud. Thank you for having me today. And our professional closing phrase. Say it out loud. I'll follow up with an email as well. Thank you again for your time. Beautiful work. Look at everything you just said out loud with your own voice, in your own words. A full opening, a full closing. Answers for salary, for weaknesses, for changing jobs, and thoughtful questions to ask in return. This is a complete, real toolkit, ready for your own interview, whenever that moment comes. Let's do one final speed round together, combining everything into quick, natural responses, just like a real conversation would flow. I'll act as the interviewer, and I want you to respond out loud quickly using what we've practiced today. Thank you for coming in today. Respond now. Tell me a little about your experience. Respond now. What is your availability like? Respond now. What would you say is an area you're working to improve? Respond now. What are your salary expectations? Respond now with your full, calm answer. Do you have any questions for me? Respond now with a thoughtful question of your own. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Respond now with a warm, confident closing. Wonderful. Truly wonderful. Notice how much smoother that felt this time compared to the very beginning of today's lesson. That is real, measurable progress, built in just one focused practice session. Let's return to Sophia one final time, because Her story doesn't end with simply getting the job. A few weeks into her new position, Sophia's manager asked her to help train a new employee, someone who had just moved to the United States as well, and who felt nervous, quiet, and unsure during her first few days at the office. Sophia recognized that nervous energy immediately. She remembered it clearly from her own first interview, that frozen, silent moment. So, during a quiet afternoon, Sophia sat with the new employee and said gently, "It's okay to feel nervous. I felt exactly the same way not long ago. But I promise, if you practice your English a little every day, especially the phrases you'll actually need at work, it gets easier. It really does." That moment meant something deep to Sophia because it showed her just how far she had truly come. She wasn't just surviving in her new English-speaking workplace anymore. She was thriving, and now she was even able to help someone else feel less alone in that same nervous, uncertain place she once stood on. This is exactly what I hope today's lesson gives you, too. Not just vocabulary, not just grammar patterns, but real confidence, real readiness for the moments that truly matter in your life here, whether that's a job interview, a conversation with a new coworker, or simply believing in your own voice a little more than you did before today. Let's do one very last thing together before we finish. I want you to imagine your own future interview. Whatever job you're hoping for, whatever position feels exciting or a little scary to imagine right now, picture yourself sitting calmly in that chair. Picture the interviewer asking you, "What are your salary expectations?" And this time, picture yourself answering clearly, calmly, without freezing, without that heavy silence Sophia once felt. Say your answer out loud, one final time today, with your whole voice, with real confidence. "Based on my experience, I am expecting a salary of," and say your own number, "but I am open to discussion." That feeling right there, that calm, ready feeling as the words came out smoothly, that is exactly what regular practice builds inside you. Little by little, conversation by conversation, just like it did for Sophia. Remember, learning English for real situations like job interviews isn't about becoming perfect overnight. It's about being ready for the moments that matter, even if your English still has an accent, even if you sometimes need a second to think. Being ready, being clear, and not freezing when the pressure comes, that is what true fluency really looks like in everyday American life. Today, we walked through Sophia's journey together, from that frozen, silent moment in her first interview to the calm, confident woman who now sits comfortably answering even the trickiest questions at work. We learned key vocabulary like qualifications, availability, reference, salary expectations, and follow-up. We practiced full sentences you can use for salary questions, weakness questions, and reasons for changing jobs. And we practiced strong, thoughtful questions you can ask at the end of your own interview showing genuine interest and confidence. The next time someone asks you a difficult question in English, whether it's about its salary, about your experience, or about anything else at work, I want you to remember this lesson. Remember Sophia's story, and remember that you already have real tools ready inside you now, built through practice, one sentence at a time. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. If this lesson helped you feel even a little more confident, please subscribe to Practical English for Life in America and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new lesson designed to help you handle real situations, real conversations, and real moments in your life here in the United States. Next time, we'll continue building your English for the workplace with a new situation, a new story, and new phrases you can use immediately. Keep practicing. Keep speaking out loud, even when no one else is listening but you. And remember, every single sentence you say today is one step closer to speaking without fear, without freezing, and without overthinking.